There was this guy who said that there are two big addictions in the world, the two major addictions. There's heroin and a monthly paycheck. But our psychology is not wired that way. We're trained from the beginning. You will work this many hours, you will get paid this many hours, or you will work at this company for this month. You have a salary and bonus connected to it. We've never been told to work, and this is what throws everybody off. There was this guy who said that there are two big addictions in the world, the two major addictions. There's heroin and a monthly paycheck.
That's true. Actually, now that I don't have a monthly paycheck that way anymore, I recognize that golden. I used to call it the golden handcuffs, because it's like it's not only a handcuff to your career, like in some sense, like yeah, not to say that like I couldn't have a fulfilling career as a salaried person, like I could, but the golden handcuffs is two things. One is it's like it's too good a job to quit.
Daniel, and you are about to watch a clip from our free podcast, The Coach's Journey, where we help you navigate the surprisingly difficult path of building a coaching business by people who are actually doing it. And we go live, raw, and unedited every week in our free Facebook community.
Welcome to another wonderful edition of the Coach's Journey podcast. Today we're talking about coaching as an easy path, and I think that's the question that everybody who listens to this podcast should think about. Do you think coaching is the easy path or the hard path? And that's what we're going to talk about, because it's really, coaching has a very low barrier to entry. We mentioned that before, and that might make it seem like the easy path. But I mean, there are certain paths that are easier than others and certain paths that are not. But I think if you think coaching is the easy path, you definitely need to listen today. And if you think it's not, you probably also should listen today, because there's probably parts of this that are going to really resonate with you and help you think about your own coaching journey. So Faisal, any thoughts on this for the coaches who are listening today?
So I want to share the experiences of coaches that find out when it's harder than they thought.
Yeah.
Usually when I'm on a call on the other side, they're very confused, they're frustrated, they're angry at times that why is nothing working? And and I had similar feelings, but not because why it wasn't working. And I thought they had the same perception of coaching being I thought they had the same way of coming into the coaching world like I did, but over the years I realized they don't. Most coaches that I talk to, I followed that thinking and that feeling that why are they always frustrated? I was frustrated with myself most of the time, not with what I was doing and how long it was taking. But if I go back and I remember the first time I got certified, it was a week-long certification or 4 or 5 days. I'm like, there's no way this is it. It's like there's no way this turns into a fulfilling career from just 4 days of training. And I was trying to figure out what that was, and I actually heard Brendan Burchard say this because I think somebody might have raised that question or a version of it. And he said, well, yeah, no, this is going to be hard work. But the difference is that the work you're going to learn as you go. You're not going to learn it in a 4 year career at going to
But it's so easy to
university.
miss that comment, right? Like it's so easy
Yeah,
to
it's
just go,
so easy to kind of,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
then
hard work. Okay, okay.
sometimes, a lot of times, I get the feeling that coaches think, and they say things like this. They're like, "Well, I've paid 10,000 for a certification or 20,000 for this. I've done multiple certification. I have this long experience with leadership in my company." So, I'm like, what does that mean?
Therefore, coaching business.
So, and that's the formula in their hand that this should pick up really fast. But then what they underestimate is that not only is and like you mentioned the illusion, the illusion is that it's such a low barrier to entry that anybody can call themselves a coach, but that doesn't necessarily mean they can build a coaching business. And that's the other key, is that as soon as you jump in, you will be building marketable coaching skill sets, not just coaching skill sets, but marketable, which means that you're directly selling to the consumer. That is hard in any business, let alone something like coaching. And then second, you're building a bunch of business skill sets that you do not have. So why and I think part of it goes to the marketing industry that has convinced people that we're gonna get you to six figure in 3 months or 6 months. You should be getting more clients. You deserve more. You just where do they get this stuff from? I never felt like I deserved more clients when I started. Half the time I felt like I don't know enough. That's why I'm not getting clients.
Yeah. I feel like I definitely fell for that, that hype at the beginning. I think it was more subconscious than anything. It's like I thought like how hard could it be? You just talk to people, you help them, and then you get money. That sounds so easy. And like I think a lot of the even though they might say it's hard work, a lot of that, was above a level that like that sentiment of it's hard work. I didn't really clue in. I'm like, of course I'm gonna work hard. I've always worked hard my whole life. But it's not the kind. It's not. It's hard in a different way than I expected.
Yeah,
It's not just like the same things that I used to do. Like whether it's I'm like, I can build a website with the best of them. I can like do a spreadsheet. I can make operations work. I can lead a team. Like, okay, how hard could this be? It's like, but what I've never done is sell to consumers. What I've never done is do
right.
marketing effectively, and understand how to build a relational business. I've never done those things, and it wasn't even on my radar that that was actually what I was really saying I wanted with the coaching business. I was just saying I want to help people. I want to have clients. I want to be able to make this my career and make money out of it so that I can help more people and have an impact. But there's so many pieces of the puzzle that it is required to achieve those things that I didn't even understand. I mean, of course, I'm going to work hard at the things I see, but what about the things I don't see? That's the problem, the blind spots.
Yeah,
And coaches are always talking about the things that they see, but not aware of the things that they can't see. Usually they want me to give them an answer like, "Oh, if I do this, will it work?" I'm like, "Well, it's it's kind of a little more complicated than that, right?" So,
yeah.
most of the
So
time
so
it's hard for people to understand what they don't see yet.
So in all those things that you described, there's one major difference that I've learned to see over the years. I didn't see it either in the beginning. And actually, if somebody wants to go deeper into this, read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. Just read the first chapter and you'll get the point. And the point is simple. So in that book, there's a story of Robert Kiyosaki where he wanted to make money. His dad was a professor. He's like, I don't know how to make money. I work for all this. Go talk to this person, which was supposedly the rich dad. And the rich dad asked him, "Well, you're gonna go work. You're gonna work for free for me." It's like, what? And that is the big difference. So all those things you talked about, leading a team, spreadsheets, all this stuff, there's one condition in all of them. You're getting a salary to do all of that stuff. And in business, it's the complete opposite. You'll be doing a bunch of free stuff for a
Or
while,
nothing
unknown period of time,
financially. Yeah.
but our psychology is not wired that way. We're trained from the beginning, you will work this many hours, you will get paid this many hours, or you will work at this company for this money, you have a salary and bonus connected to it. We've never been told to work, and this is what throws everybody off. There was this guy who said that there are two big addictions in the world, two major addictions. There's heroin and a monthly paycheck.
That's true. Actually, now that I don't have a monthly paycheck that way anymore, I recognize that I used to call it the golden handcuffs
Yeah,
because it's like it's not only a handcuff to your career like in some sense like yeah not to say that like I couldn't have a fulfilling career as a salaried person like I could but the golden handcuffs is two things. One is it's like it's too good a job to quit, and the other golden handcuff that I didn't even know was what you just mentioned. It was like the addiction of a monthly salary. It's actually like makes you think differently. And when you lose that, like it took me years to realize I didn't have a salary coming in. I was like living like I still had a salary coming in when I left my job. I was investing in programs. I had all this money that I saved up, and then before I knew it, like I had spent a lot of money and not gotten a lot of money in income because that's not how it works. Like I just you have this assumption in the back of your head like I have a stable salary, but you don't anymore, and you forget because it's a
yeah.
mindset. There's a mindset shift that you have to go through. And there's like how you live without a salary. Well, you never learned to do that because you've had a salary for a long time. So
Yeah. Yeah, and it goes back to, are you willing, and that's the hard work is actually the uncomfortable work. It's not the hours of sitting and figuring out a spreadsheet or going through, and essentially the funny thing is coaches do that. They'll spend hours and hours going through some video program and they will try to put it into a spreadsheet or a program or something like that, or they'll create a nice little plan, but nothing ever comes out of it because they don't realize what the hard work is. The hard work is actually the uncomfortable work. And the uncomfortable work in business is actually putting yourself out there, you're completely exposed. You don't know what the hell you're doing, and you don't know what the result is going to be because the consumer decides whether or not this thing is valuable or not, whether it's a product or a service. And you have to consistently put yourself out there and be ready for the test. And one week it might go great, another week it might not, and you have to keep refining it. And that is a growth journey. It's a very uncomfortable journey, and most people are not ready for that.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have a job, even at the job, if you're not doing a great job, you're still getting paid.
Yeah,
In the real world of entrepreneurship, I'm not gonna call it the real world. In the world of entrepreneurship, if you're not doing a great job, you don't get hired.
right.
You know,
It's the complete reverse, and this is actually what entrepreneurs get paid for, is the risk of that. And a lot of people wonder, well, why is the CEO of this company getting paid this much? Why is the owner of this company? Well, they're getting, the way the market rewards is it rewards people who take the highest amount of risk, and that risk leads to some kind of result. Now, if you take the least amount of risk, you will have more of an ordinary type of salary or a position, and you can keep going in there because somebody else within an organization is taking that risk. I have a client who one of his leaders in the C-suite wants shares in the company, and when he gets, and he's open to that, but he's like, I don't think she understands what that means. I don't think she fully understands, and I know that she doesn't understand that because she's never owned a business. And he said it this way, he's like, I don't think she understands this part, that when she was going home after all the projects were done, I went to my personal bank account and transferred $1 million to payroll when it was needed, and she knows what that is because she knew the numbers, but she never felt the risk. She never felt it. She's like, she did that. If I'm owning the benefits, I'm also owning the risk on the other side, and that's what. And if she's willing to take on the risk, I'm willing to transfer part of that ownership to her. And I don't think she was ready for that. And then this is the biggest challenge that most people don't realize, is that that's not, the market doesn't reward the way most people think. Most people are taught to work for a salary and move forward. And most entrepreneurs find this the hard way, that the way the market works is that it doesn't actually care how hard you work, it cares about what kind of results you produce. And the results are not determined by you, it's determined by consumer and product.
And I love that. Even every business that you've ever worked for, somebody started that business, somebody took a risk, and somebody has the ownership stake in that business, right? And they're paying you a wage that is less than what they're getting as a business revenue, right? They have to make sure that it's sustainable. And so this is something that coaches don't think about. It's like, if I have to hire somebody, I have to pay them because they won't work if I don't pay them, right? But I'm working for no pay until I can make the business work, right? And so there's a
Yeah.
hugely different lens that you take on as a business owner, that you're willing to work for no pay until you figure it out. And that's kind of what CMC is all about, is like helping you figure it out way faster, so you don't spend years and years. I talked to somebody today who spent years in the coaching world, and they don't have paid clients, and that's okay. But they recognize that they want to have paid clients, and they're ready to change that. And that's what we're talking
Yeah.
about here, right? Because it's very, very easy. What's easy is to go through certifications. It's like what we're used to. We can go through school, we can take some classes. Now we're qualified, right? Not necessarily. What are you qualified for? You're qualified to do the thing that certification teaches you to do, maybe. You're not necessarily qualified to run a business. You're not necessarily qualified to understand how to sell coaching. I always talk about the two skill sets. Like, people think uh, of coaching skills, and when they get certified, they're usually getting taught the skills that take place after somebody hires you. The coaching program, right? Like, that's the skills you're using, coaching skills, of course. But nobody's really talking about, or very few people are really even teaching the coaching skills that it takes to get people to sign up. That is the harder part of coaching skills, because it forces you to be at risk, and it forces you to be vulnerable. It forces you to go through failure. It forces you to have really hard conversations. It forces you to handle objections that you have about your own program that somebody's asking about. It forces you to go through all these things and deal with your stuff. And it's extremely uncomfortable. That's why coaches don't do it, and that's why people don't teach it, because it's very hard to do and it's very hard to teach, especially if you haven't done it a lot, or you don't know the process that really works. So I would encourage everybody to like really think about their coaching skills in those two different ways. Like, how good are you at coaching after they sign up, and how good are you coaching before they sign up? Because sales is actually just coaching And coaching is just helping people come to decisions about their life, right? Like, there's more to it, obviously, but sales is really
Yeah.
helping them come to a decision about the program and whether they want to invest in that program. And that's just coaching.
Yeah. Yeah, and you will be in the business of sales, and you will be in the business of marketing if you're going to be a coach. And a lot of times you hear that I just want to coach, I don't want to market or sell. Well, then what you're essentially saying is you don't want to build a business, you want to work in your role as a coach after the client established. The
Yes.
only way to do that is if you're working for a business who's done the marketing and sales part. And this is why I actually think that it's much easier for somebody to go through a 4 year degree or 5 year, 6 year process and actually become a therapist. If you really, and the job is not that different. At least the mechanics of it is similar. Like you're sitting in front of a person, you're hearing them, you're listening to them, you're supporting them. The way you move them forward is different. You just have different set of tools, but essentially the same. But if you are averse to marketing and sales, your path is probably go do. And I've seen coaches who do that. Eventually, they realize I don't want to do sales and marketing. Well, therapy is the thing that the field that is closer to coaching that are hiring a lot of people, and they want to go towards that. And you can do that. And I'm not discouraging somebody to do this, but your why matters a lot. So when I started this, I wasn't looking for an easy path. I was looking for a path that gave me personal freedom, that gave me lifestyle freedom, but a path that pushed me to grow. And I knew that the path to growth is actually very uncomfortable. How uncomfortable? I didn't predict that, but that was that I underestimated that part. But I knew that it would be immensely uncomfortable, and I can tell you this: the biggest advantages of being a business owner in this field has been my growth as a human being, my growth as a
Totally.
leader, as a father, as a husband, all the things that I was seeking, and to this day it hasn't stopped. I used to kind of fantasize just like one day I'm gonna feel comfortable and sit there. It has not come. It's been like 11 years. In fact, I've
It
accepted that
never
it will not
comes.
come.
Yeah. Yeah. There's two things that have really made the difference for me in my life as a human. One is the commitment to the world of coaching and to growing my ability as a coach, because I think it just made me a better human in all the ways that I wanted to be a better human. And the second part is, actually being part of CMC to learn the hard way, and also the easy way after we figured it out, the business side of it, being on the business side, taking risk, and understand what that really means, having the kinds of conversations, taking those leaps forward in my abilities and my understanding of what it really takes to build a coaching business has actually forced me to grow in business. It's forced me to grow in communication. It's forced me to grow in leadership. It's forced me to grow in all kinds of things. And honestly, I don't know if I would have been able to do it without CMC. Like, CMC started as a group of coaches who was like, probably were more in the mindset, like, this should be easy. Let's get a mastermind together. We should figure it out together. And a lot of the coaches, none of the coaches in that group initially had really any success at the time, and success meaning like a thriving, sustainable coaching business at the time. But we were all definitely, taking, lots of education and certification, and like we got some progress. We got little bits of progress. We were teaching each other what we're learning. We're doing a coaching chain, and all the stuff that you do as a coach. But we weren't really like able to build the business in the way that we all had hoped. And you know what? Actually, it was way more comfortable that way. Nobody had to really push themselves out into that difficult world of building the business. And that worked for a while, but we wasn't really achieving the goal of the original setup. So eventually we started to focus more on business. Eventually we realized the community had to change. And so it's evolved for several years. We've been doing CMC for like, I want to say 6+ years now. And now it's evolved into a community where we actually understand the need for mentorship from experienced coaches. We actually understand the need for coaching development in other ways, and building a community of coaches that can support each other through this difficult process. It's a difficult process. There's no two ways about it. And every time you try it, you get stuck in a different spot.
Yeah.
And we
Uh,
love supporting the people through that journey because we understand how difficult it is.
And I've had a similar experience around this. Without this, I wouldn't have understood and I wouldn't have gotten the feedback to do better because I didn't actually understand what better was. I thought better was a lot like you said, get more education, read more books. That was my idea of better, which was still that's helpful on the theory side, but to put myself out there, then come back and actually out there means you're actually going and supporting people and making offers, and then come back and be like, well, it didn't work, or this part didn't work, or that worked. Like, I don't know what that means.
We were just
And
iterating, you know?
yeah, right. You're iterating, and that's essentially how, because most people don't know what to do unless you put it out there. I work with an eight-figure coach. It was interesting. I was trying to get this coach, both a seven-figure coach and an eight-figure coach. I was trying to get them to refine my workshop process. It's like I wanted to sell a $6,000 product, and they kept giving me feedback and I was doing the work and coming back, and we kept assessing it back and forth. After about 6 months of working, they knew with them, I realized that they know certain things based on patterns of what they had tried, but they have no idea how this is going to turn out. They could not predict it, and eventually ended up with, you're going to have to test this out for the next 2 years. Uh, and they just didn't know, even though they have had successful businesses, multiple successful businesses, that you're going to have to keep iterating. Of course, the feedback helped, but I got enough feedback to say, okay, this is a long-term testing process.
Yeah. And if you're not in it for the long term, you're probably not going to make it, right? Like you have to think about this as a career path, as something that, it will take time to iterate and try things and learn and evolve. And you'll figure out your niche over time. You don't have to have a niche to have a successful business. But you will learn about that niche on the way. You don't have to do you don't have to do everything that you're told to do, but there's some things you do have to do. You have to be able to coach people to sign up with you if it's the right thing for them. You have to be able to coach people once they do sign up with you. And you have to be able to do that over and over and over again. And the process of doing it over and over and over again takes time. It takes energy. It takes emotional growth because you're going to face challenges.
Yeah.
And as you go through that process of iterating, it can take a very long time. Now, I think looking back, out of the 10 years, I could have probably shaved off 7 of them if I knew what I needed
Yeah.
today. If I had the confidence that
Yeah.
I have today around the process. But like that's part of the journey, right? And that's we're trying to shave that time down for people. Is why CMC exists.
Yeah, and that I think in my experience, what I've seen is when a coach becomes honest with themselves and they say that, you know what, I'm dedicated to this for the next 5 to 10 years. What do I need to do to move forward, no matter how uncomfortable it is? They stop asking, well, I don't know why I can't do this, why I'm not motivated. I don't understand this, what do you call it, tracking process. I don't understand this. I don't know how to do this. They stop asking the how, and they start asking, what does it take to do this? And they go all in that process. And all in looks different for different people. But when that happens, then coaches seek feedback, they seek mentorship, they seek coaching themselves, that hey, I'm not going to be able to figure this out on my own, or at least fast enough for this to be useful. And that's the path. That's the reason why I grew, because I was seeking constant mentorship, coaching, communities that would support me to move forward. So if you're ready, you're in a place where you're like, you know what, I've decided this is going to be a long-term path for me, then connect with us. We'll go to cmc.coach, reach out to us. We have a free community. We'll support you further there. And we'll see if we see that you are dedicated to this, you're willing to do the work and move forward, we'll work with you. If we don't see that, then we'll give you some resources and you can decide whenever you want to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the really big takeaway for me, and if you're listening to this, I hope you resonate with this, is that the path you're on as a coach is one for your own growth. And if you're willing to do that growth, it's going to be hard because all of our growth comes at the edge of discomfort, right? It's like if you're not uncomfortable, you're probably not growing that much. If you're not facing challenges, you're probably not growing that much. You might be growing in some ways, but like the big challenges that are the ones that grow you the most. So if you're thinking about what's your next level, what are you capable of in life, what potential do you have, and coaching is something that you are really like drawn to and called to as a career path, and you want to make the commitment to it, those are the kinds of people that will do well in CMC. Is those who decide, I want to grow. I know it's going to be hard. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I know I need guidance, and I'm going to put the work in because it's going to be work. It's not easy. Going back to our original question, is it easy? No, it's not easy. Even simple things are not easy, right? So, and the coaching business can be simple if you think about it in the right way, but it's also can be complex in a whole bunch of different ways. So I want you to know that like we're here to help you grow. And if you're willing to grow and go through that hard work, I think it's really worth it. Like that was my experience. Is like I've grown so much as a human. Even if I had stopped my business tomorrow, I'd be so glad that I've been on this journey and putting that effort and that the extreme discomfort at times to the point where like I stopped doing the things I'm supposed to do because it's too hard. So like
Yeah,
that is part of the journey.
yeah,
So
for
I
sure.
encourage you
And
to do that
and
with
and
support from a community like ours where we can help you through that.
yeah, and the biggest thing I've realized is that the business and the practice to build that is hard. I think what a space like CMC does is it makes it bearable. It makes it that you see that other people are going through the process. You're getting feedback in the process. You don't give up. And I think the biggest thing in business is as long as you're in the game, you will grow. And unfortunately, most coaches, most business owners give up way too fast, way too soon. Even if they call themselves a coach 5 years later, they had given up long ago. It's just a title at this point.
Yeah.
And you don't want to get to that point. And if you are ready to move forward, then definitely join us at CMC.coach and share this with a coach, a friend that you might have met that might have felt hopeless or that might have tried a bunch of stuff supposedly or have actually tried it and it hasn't moved them forward. Share this message because this is what they might need to hear. Because usually coaches hear messages from marketers, from people who are building things that seem very attractive because they talk about the money and the status and all the cool things you're going to get when you build the business. But what they don't talk about is the real work that it takes to build a coaching business, and the work is you. And like Daniel said, it's your own growth.
All right. So we hope to see you next time on the Coach's Journey podcast. We're here to support you. Join our community, our free community at cmc.coach, and we hope to see you on the other side.
Yeah, take care. Bye.
Bye.